So I wanted to do a little tutorial how to draw and render out an eye from start to finish using the EverBlends from Arteza. So I'm going to go in with the chisel tip because it's quite a large area that I'm wanting to fill. And I'll just start adding a nice even coat, I guess, of this marker. So once I'm happy with just having a base color of this skin tone, I will go off into the midtones part now. For this, I'll use the brush nib of the EverBlend markers and just start adding shadows into all the areas of the eye that are sunken in. So that's where I'm going to focus most of the shadows. And I'll try to kind of taper out my blending into the middle here to make blending a little bit easier for myself. And I'll leave the areas that I want to be lighter in color untouched. So once I've added that, I'll go back in with these R09, which is the lightest shade that we used, and go over the areas where there's a transition, so between the dark and the light, and I'll just go over that with the lighter marker to basically help with blending. And I'll just do that pretty much everywhere where I put down this mid-tone color. I will then go into our darkest shade of the skin tone. I'm gonna go even closer to the creases of the eyelids and add just a little stripe of this shading where I want the shadows to be the deepest. So I will focus this color the most around the crease of the eyelid and in the outer corners of the eye as well. And as we did before, I'm going to go back into that R09 color, which is our lightest shade, and use that to blend out this darker skin tone. Okay, I'm pretty satisfied with the basic skin tone that we've put down already. So now I'm going to focus on shading in the actual eye. So I'll start off with the CG08 Cool Gray marker. It's my favorite gray in the entire set of EverBlends because it's just the lightest gray and it's a cool gray. So I'll usually start off with this one and start shading in the whites of the eye. Starting from the top, I'll start with the darkest, and then I'll start sort of releasing pressure off of the pen as I go down to create a sort of gradient. And I'll do a little bit of the same at the bottom. So I want to capture like different shades of green inside the iris because our eye colors normally have a few different colors inside them if you look close enough. So I'm going to start off again with the lightest shade, which is this green, this pale green. And then I'm going to, first of all, outline the little light reflections that I sketched in earlier. And just to make sure that they're there and I don't forget them. And then I'll just fill in the iris with this color. So that will be the base green for our eye. And I will start adding bits of this color more so to the outside area of the iris, sort of this border over here, and in this general top area of the eye, because the eyelid on the top will be casting a little bit of shadow, especially with the lashes. It usually casts a little bit of shadow into the iris, so the top of the iris is always a little bit darker. So I'll start adding little lines like this going from the outside of the iris and also coming out from the pupil. This is why I usually color in the pupil last, just because it is a lot easier to do all the colors first and then do the pupil last. I'm also going to just fill in the pupil. And now I want to add some of the intense details. So I'm going to go in with pencils first. So I'm going to go in with this dark brown and just start adding some cross hatching and some shading around the darkest areas around the eye. Okay, and that's it for our little eye tutorial from start to finish. I used markers, the Arteza EverBlend markers, as well as the Arteza fine liners and pencils and colored pencils. And we kind of just did a little mix of all of them to make this drawing.